Well, hey everybody, this time on my No BS search for Bigfoot, I sit down with Scot and Hannah Violet from Squatch America and a few other Squatchers, and we just sit around all day and talk about Bigfoot. Some of this video I had to cut out because it belonged to Paul Freeman, and if the name sounds familiar, it was because his dad was Paul Freeman, the guy that filmed the Bigfoot up in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and he goes, "Oh, there he goes." Well, they took the video and enhanced it to 4K, and in the video, I never noticed that it was a female Bigfoot. I think they called it Big Jill. I think that's what they call it, Big Jill. Anyway, I've watched that video over the years, and he says, "Oh, there's two of them." Well, I've never seen two Bigfoot in that video. I don't know how many times I've watched that video, and I'm sure you have too. There's no way there's two Bigfoot in that video. Until now, they enhanced the video, and you can see Big Jill, I think that's what they call the Bigfoot, walk over, pick up a juvenile Bigfoot, put it on its hip like a baby, and walk off with it. So there was two Bigfoot in the video. And I don't know what this plane's doing up here, but he's been flying over my house for the past 10 or 15 minutes. He needs to go and get somewhere else. But I had to cut that part out of the video because I can't use it. And there's some other parts I cut out because, I mean, we sat there and talked for like 3 hours. And I'll also introduce you to some of the people that were out there. So if you would, stay through the end, because there's some pretty interesting facts that Scot had to tell us about Bigfoot. And I don't know, but Hannah fixed some chili, and I think she had beans in it. And oh yeah, if you'd like to get one of these really cool shirts, these cool t-shirts, go over to Scot and Hannah's channel, Squatch America, on YouTube. They're also on Facebook. And I think they'll fix you up one of these. I think this is one of the coolest t-shirts out there. Go over to their channel, Squatch America, talk to Scot and Hannah about getting you a t-shirt, and I'm sure they'll fix you up.
Alright, well folks, we decided to get together here just to get together and talk Bigfoot stuff. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Scot, I'm with Squatch America. We're the other National Bigfoot Research Group. Like the BFRO.
The one that has no money.
Oh, yeah.
There's another one?
The BFRO.
BFRO.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But we have Bigfoot researchers
Maybe
from
you
all
should.
over the place. This picture, Joe.
Maybe you should have changed your name. You should have changed your name to Scott Money Changer.
I'll get Joe money less.
Yeah. So
It's true.
Little history about me and why I got into this is I'm an anthropologist and my expertise is in Native American culture. And I've worked with tribes all over the nation. My particular expertise in tribal history is pictographs and petroglyphs. That's what I did. I learned how to read them, how to decipher them, how to tell stories. These are all photos that I took. I spent 2 years working on an archaeological dig in a place called Chaco Canyon, New Mexico.
Yes.
It is an amazing place.
Whereabouts is that?
In Chaco Canyon, New Mexico.
Yes.
North of Albuquerque?
It's northwest. It's up in the northwest corner of kind of up there by Colorado, right
By
in
the Four Corners.
Right in the Four Corners area.
Close to Durango then, right?
Yeah,
South
yes.
of Durango. Okay.
Yeah, and so the cliff dwellings and Chaco Canyon is not too far apart. And there's a town called Aztec, New Mexico. That's right there where Chaco Canyon is too. And in my 2 years of working there, deciphering the pictographs, I deciphered this one, which had been misidentified for years, and actually wrote a paper on it, and it was submitted, and it's now in my papers in the Smithsonian.
With your professor's name
with
on
my
it.
professor's name on it, because that's the way it
That's
works. Yeah. But I don't know if you can see that real well with the sun.
I can see a flag looking thing. It's got,
That's,
The
Is
angle,
that a spiral?
this right here, yes. A lot of people don't know the spirals. They actually are a directional signal. They mean go up, go down.
There's
And
one
sometimes
on
they're
the,
used as calendars and clocks too. But this right here is actually a pyramid.
okay, you're looking down at it.
Yeah, you're looking down at it.
Can I interrupt you for a minute? Sorry. Richard Taylor?
Hello.
we just wanted y'all to meet. He was interested in the whole Sasquatch.
Well, come on in and listen to her. You're in the right spot.
Yeah, they can come on. I'm doing a presentation right now.
He was so intriguing earlier.
Okay.
All right. I'll wander over there.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Thank you, lady.
So that's a pyramid?
So that's a pyramid. This is a pyramid, and that's actually a god, a frog god, basically. But anyway, Chaco
actually,
Canyon-
you might want to explain that that pyramid there is the Aztec style versus the Egyptian style.
yes, it's an Aztec pyramid. And the thing, something else we did when we were on that archaeological dig, we found bones of parrots. We found jars that had never been found before. We found this little cache of these jars that were completely different than anything that had never been found there before. And they were full of chocolate.
Right on.
Cacao.
Love those
Chocolate.
Aztec.
Cacao, yeah, cacao.
Cacao from South
Yeah,
America.
that's my vehicle.
So,
Gonna say,
Chaco
man,
Canyon, New
they were
Mexico
doing
was a
back
big
then.
cultural exchange center.
Right.
What it was, and they actually had buildings that they had built, kivas they're called, that are half underground, half above ground. And one of these was big enough to seat 2,000 people in. So they had that. So I want to talk about my sighting. On April 2018 in a place called Haines, Oregon, well outside of Haines, Oregon, in the Blue Mountains of Eastern Oregon, 15 miles as a crow flies from this little place called Deduck Springs. You might have heard of that if you're a Bigfooter. Anybody? Deduck Springs? Ever heard of
Come on, Joe.
Yes, I have.
Ever heard of Paul Freeman?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, there he goes. That video? My sighting was 15 miles south of the crow flies from where that video was taken in the Blue Mountains of Eastern Oregon. That's my Bigfoot. Now you can see it because there's a red circle around it.
Hey, I'm there. I really do see it.
You can't see Bigfoot unless there's a red circle around it.
That's right.
That's the rules.
Actually,
So to give you an idea of why I got a blurry picture of it, it should start moving. Go. Look right here. That's where it was standing.
that hill is almost.
This is a
straight down.
32-degree slope going down to where this is.
Wow.
Yep. He's sitting there, standing there watching you.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can see the mouth right there. I
Yep.
can see the eyes, the brows.
I got a blurry
Oh, I can totally see it.
And there's, yeah, because the red circle popped
No,
up.
I can see all the
You
facial.
see the brow ridge and
Yeah, you
everything.
can. So,
It's miraculous that the camera caught that.
yeah, the story goes, this is the story. We were hiking a trail. I smelt the smell. I had never smelt that smell before in my life, but I had had it described to me because I'd been in the Bigfoot world for 25 years at that point, and I knew what I was smelling. By the way, my theory on these teenage boys is where the smell comes from.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's teenage boys, because not all Bigfoot sightings have smells to them. But I think it's just the musk of a teenage boy. But anyway, I couldn't see where it was coming from, so I had a gentleman with me. By the way, it was the first time in his life he'd ever went out bigfooting. It was a birthday, and I was doing his daughter a favor, who was a friend of my wife's, to take this out. I had never met that gentleman before I took him out in the woods. I wasn't even sure where I was going that day. We just drove up and said, this looks like a good spot. Let's just stop here and hike. So,
No,
we're like,
not quite true.
well, we had had 5 reports in the area the week before, so I knew I was in the right area. I didn't know exactly where to to be. But we were hiking the trail, smelled the smell. Couldn't see where it was coming from because it was all that brush everywhere. And so I decided, hey, let's just hike up the trail and see if the smell goes away or if it follows us. Because, you know, Bigfoot follows you out there. I've heard stories. So we hiked down the trail, the smell went away. So turned around, went back. When the smell got big, I just did probably one of the dumbest things on the planet. I just off in the woods went, ah! And guess what it did? Right back at me. It mimicked me almost perfectly. And that's when I saw this little face in that little opening doing this, looking at me.
Oh, yeah, it was doing that back and forth
It was
thing.
doing this thing.
Side to side.
Side to side,
Yeah.
just
I've
looking
seen
at me like this. I had my camera in a shoulder holster. I had a Canon T6 camera. I pulled it up, took one picture. When I was pushing the button, we heard this whistle off in the woods to our left out there, and it turned and just went that direction from where we heard the whistle. And that's the last time I saw it. But
So you could actually see it with
my
naked
eyes.
eye?
I saw it moving. I got one shot on it. My camera focused on the brush in front of it, not behind it. And I got my blurry photo. So to give you an idea, this is a 32-degree slope down. There's that log in the video you saw, was right there. It was 165 feet to where it was standing, and it was 44 feet behind that log. And that the trees were right here, so it was actually 40 feet behind that brush that you see. And the reason I know where it was standing is, so I got the sighting, I got the photo, I got the smell, I can't really record that anyway. And then we've got the footprints. So I got the trifecta of,
Wow.
you can see how steep that hill is.
That's physical evidence, bro.
Yeah, that is. So I got the cast, and then we went back for 3 days and recorded the footprints and how far they were apart, going up the hill. Now, the juvenile, we had one footprint down here, one footprint here, and then a little scuff mark right there, and no other juvenile footprints. The mom's footprint was here, 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 and then it was up on top of the, and then it was just huckleberry brush up there after that. So there was no more footprints because it was leaf litter and whatever, you know. I was 2 years ago, we were in Yakima at the Yakima Indian Bigfoot Festival. And I think that's where we met.
Yeah, that's who's
Okay, and
It was
Mel?
No, it was Jenna
Jenna,
Grover from the
from the She Squatchers.
Yeah.
Right,
I
right.
showed her my picture and she goes, there's one behind it. And I'm going, no, it's right there. And she goes, no, it's right there and it's right there.
Yeah, she was so funny. She said, "There's one behind it."
Yep.
Yeah.
What? And I've been looking at that photo for 4 years. I'm
She
like,
was
no.
so funny.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's Jenna. She's so funny. She's
She's totally dry. It was like,
So if you look it out here,
she's
but
cute.
it was last year. I actually
Well, one of our favorite reports, and actually one of our highest viewed videos, is called "Who Stole My Huckleberries," about some friends of ours who had an encounter while they were out huckleberrying, and someone did not want them intruding on their staff.
That's right.
And they had a stump
They
thrown
had a
at
stump about this big around that we pulled out of the ground and threw over their heads about 50 feet.
That's what happened. Yeah.
While they were
Priest
picking
Lake,
And the
huckleberries.
Blue Mountains are thick with huckleberries.
Yeah.
And so
So I
that's
started
what-
looking,
that's actually-
so I kept seeing all these drawings that people had of Bigfoot in their faces and the morphology of the face. So when we started traveling 5 years ago, one of the things I do is I stop at a lot of Native American little shops, museums, the tribal centers, places like that, because I've worked with tribes for 25 years, so I got a little bit of an in, I can speak the language a little bit, you know, and they let me go in and look at stuff. Well, I found all this in different tribal centers.
The most
Some of these are
common-
historic ones. This one here and that one there. These are the ones these three here you've probably seen all over the internet. Oh, this one too, on the
You know,
internet.
treasure trove.
These are all stuff that I have found in tribal centers.
Treasure trove for masks like this are like if you go to a casino gift shop and they'll just have them hanging on the wall.
Right, but if there's one thing you always notice about these is They have this big brow ridge. They always have these like kind of button eyes that are set back. Oh, this little tiny button nose and this big flat mouth. That flat mouth tells me a lot. No canine teeth.
Huh.
That means they're omnivores like us.
Yes.
So, out of all these,
Because canine teeth have a snout rather than,
Right.
correct?
right, so if you go through and look at like the picture of Patty and the picture of the one I got, I didn't change that to the other video, but you can see the mouths are always the same. This particular mask is carved by the Sahelish tribe. Great thing about it, it's made out of wood, you can carve and date wood. This mask is 500 years old. This was carved 500 years ago. So, just before that we heard this chest thumping. The elk, actually, I was filming the elk and it looked up and it turned and ran when it heard the chest thumping. And the only thing that really kind of sounds like that in that area is, I don't know if you've ever heard a grouse thump,
Yes.
but grouse will go do, 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 and speeds up. This never sped up, it was just dum, 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 really loud. And then right after that we got the recording of
I've
this.
never seen an elk get up and run from a grouse.
Yeah, me either. So in 2022, we went back to the area where we had my sighting to do like a,
What does it look like now?
yeah, what it looks like now, kind of a, let's go back 4 years to where I had my sighting. We did a video on our YouTube channel. We do have a YouTube channel, Squatch America. You can,
You can join the coffee club on Scotch America for
Yeah.
$1.99 a month.
yeah,
It's
go
great.
ahead. I'll wait, get your phones up. I'm waiting, no.
Oh.
Fine. All right.
I heard that.
So we had this 18-inch footprint here. You can't see it. The photo didn't do it any good, and I couldn't cast it because it was literally on the side of the
I
building.
mean, he didn't have enough water for his, it was a, how not to make a cast.
But to give you an idea how steep the hill was and how far up it was, that's Hannah taking a picture of it. So it was about
Wow.
that far. And then,
No!
right after that,
No.
this happened. A call from the Corps of Engineers park ranger. We've got Bigfoot tracks out here. Could you come take a look at them and tell me if they're real? I'm like, okay. You know, I never expected to ever get a phone call from a government official saying, come check out my Bigfoot tracks.
Right?
So we went, we found these tracks, we cast them. This was, oops, back up. This was the London trackway where they had like 123 tracks. And then I had these all in the same area. This was actually out to the reservoir and back. Mine was actually below the dam on the road that goes to the spillway. Mine was about a 1/4 inch deep in a gravel road.
That's bad.
Yeah. So I took my cast to Cliff Barrickman. We sit down and talked about it. He pulled his casts out. We took my cast, we compared them, we set them on top of each other. They match exactly.
Wow.
The toes are in the same place. The length is exactly the same. Just 12 years later, Cliff thinks they're faked. Other people
The
think they're not
jury
fake.
is still out.
The jury is still out on it because who could put fake feet in and walk in mud this deep?
And gravel, who could
Yeah,
put that kind of
with
imitation?
50-inch strides
And who can
for
run?
for 100 and some odd tracks, and then there was one where it actually turned its foot in the mud when it was turning.
So he thinks his are fake or yours are
I
fake?
think
He
they
thinks
both
it-
are,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
but because they both
He
match.
said, he says that you can get that kind of indentation if you're running, but who can run in a pair of stompers that are
In mud.
15 inches long?
Right, right.
Well, see, that's the incomplete part of it.
Yes.
They're reaching an opinion
Yes.
without testing
Yeah.
the hypothesis, which,
and he has run around with scalpers on his feet, but you can only do so much. So I say the jury's still out.
Yeah, yeah.
no, but it irks me when people half equation
Yeah.
come to an answer and they leave out so much of the equation.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of the Lennon trackway equation that has been silenced. I will
Well-
say that.
My background's forensic
Okay, there you go.
science in law enforcement, but I understand forensic evidence, and it galls me when people profess to be a professional and an expert, and they don't have the training, the education and experience to reach that opinion, and they come out with, that's fake.
Right.
Okay, how did you form that opinion?
Yeah.
And forensically in court, they'd get bounced out. They wouldn't even be allowed to testify about that
What-
part.
Tell us how Cliff came to think they were fake.
Because there was one track that the toes were, you could see the toes were curved down.
It looks like,
Actually, you
like,
can see that this is flat, you can see these toes were curved down. So he said it was a solid board on a solid place and it tipped the toes down. And so that's where you get this scrape where the toes went down into the mud. Well, I thought you could get the same thing if you bend your toes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
his opinion's unfounded, really. It's
Right.
expectation
So-
bias.
Right, so the jury's still out on that, and a little known fact, there was a guy named Tobe Johnson. Anybody know Tobe? You know Tobe.
Yeah.
I love Tobe.
Yeah.
Is that your
That's my camera.
shutting off?
Shut it off. Okay. Tobe actually found footprints that match those two that he has cast that he took almost a month earlier that had stepped over a 4-foot fence.
And it was in an area where people really can't easily traverse.
Yeah.
Really high brush, high, so.
Yeah.
So the jury's still out on that. I'm just still shocked that the Army Corps of Engineer Park Ranger called me on a Bigfoot investigation. I'm
Yeah.
like, whoa.
How'd they get your name?
Okay.
He's a
That-
rock
that's-
star.
No, I gotta live with that, so you knock that off.
Because I'm famous. No.
Something explainable if you know what you're talking about. If you're talking about cloaking, there's so much about how energy is manipulated that we don't understand, and it's like, how do you explain energy healing? Well, if you take someone that's going through energy healing and film it with like a PET scan thing,
Yes.
you can see things happening.
Yeah.
100 years ago, we could not take a scan of a human brain and see mental illness. Now we can.
Yeah.
And so, I don't believe in woo. I do know that there's a lot we don't get. And we just kind of have to grow into that. And go back and watch Star Trek. Come on.
Yeah, and another thing, there's a lot of really cool things that other animals do. Like, you've got animals that can change colors in the woods, Can we think a big primate can? Maybe not. But
Oh, I love this stuff.
a lot of people don't know this. What color is a polar bear?
Oh, there's no color.
Their skin is black,
Yeah.
but their hair is translucent.
Uh-huh.
So if a polar bear's in the snow, they're white. If they're on pavement, like in a zoo, they're gray. If they're in the forest, they're green. So what Bigfoot has, and we have these Bigfoot hair samples that people believe are Bigfoot, and you look at them under the microscope and they have no medulla in them, that means they're clear. And then you can see through them.
And so,
So
when
if
we're
they're
getting,
cloaking and changing colors in the woods, it might not be them actually changing colors. It's
They're
their
just
hair reflecting
a natural
the
camouflage.
natural
And that would go a long way in explaining blurry pictures, because
Yes.
you can often get very clear shots of faces which naturally have less hair. You've got the nose and this, but everything else, if it's, that would go a long way to explaining a blurry photo. So I think everything's explainable if you have enough knowledge. Most of us
You just gotta
don't.
ask the right question.
And-
You was talking about seeing the light. Over the guy who's working on Zoom rig in East Texas, he stepped out in the woods there. All of a sudden he saw a light. And I didn't know a road was over there. He said, he just kept coming, and all of a sudden it went by real fast. Wow.
Yeah. You never know. I don't know.
Don't know what to do.
Poor
So,
things.
do you, excuse me, this is so good. I feel like a kid, like I'm the whole thing. So do you support or believe in Melba Kitchen's stuff? And if you do, great, and if you don't, a lot of people don't.
But no, there's too many that do match. I mean, she's got 135 cents. There's a guy who wrote a book, Scott Carpenter.
Right.
God rest his soul.
God
Yes,
bless him. He
yes.
just died this year too.
Yes,
But he just wrote a book.
yes, I know.
Was it called BIGFOOT DNA?
The DNA, whatever his DNA.
Yeah, the DNA analysis, something.
Yeah, anyway, so I read his book. And
Something revealed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he delved into that and did a lot of research on it. And he was fairly convinced that we have, to date, 135 cents of DNA.
You know,
But she was poo-pooed and crucified over it.
honestly, the more someone is poo-pooed and crucified, the more inclined I am to go,
So, Hen and I
Hello.
Well,
just a few months ago was at,
Uh-huh.
we spent a week in Roswell.
Fun.
Anyway,
they talk about their squaws being taken
exactly.
by
So,
the big guys and producing children.
yes. So these guys are sapiens. They're like us.
Yes.
Right.
Human hybrid.
Well, not a human so much as a hybrid. I think they're an older version of us.
Right. Well, I'm going
That
by
just
what's
has
the
not
name?
went extinct yet. That's still living with us. So if
Right.
we go back to that whole Gigantopithecus thing, if everybody's familiar with that. Okay, well, the Gigantopithecus, there's some problems with that being Bigfoot in my head. But anyway, but the thing is, where they were found, where Gigantopithecus was found was in China, on the edge of the Bering Strait. They're dated 10,000 years ago. Guess where the Native Americans were 10,000 years ago?
On the
In
Bering
China,
Strait.
on the edge of the Bering Strait. So if they migrated with the humans that came over here. So when they came over here, if they migrated with the humans to get over here on the Bering Strait, the first 4,000 years of humans being on this continent, they wiped out 4 species of animals. So if Bigfoot migrated with us and saw us how careless we are with the world, basically, they would learn to avoid us. And they went on their own way, and they have not changed their ways in probably the last 10,000 years. My guess is they're human. They're just another type of human.
Well, that's
So that would make them,
That supports her
Well,
study.
Well, it dovetails, the Cherokee called them the Uni Udawati, okay, forest beings of the lost or forgotten tribe. They left out edible roots and berries for them. In turn, the big guys watched over them for symbiont, and again, I go to Kentucky all the time, you see my shirt. In Kentucky, 2 years ago, I'm looking at one with a thermal scope, okay? He's down by the river. Some paranormal investigator comes over and asks me what I'm doing. I said, I'm watching a big guy. Whoa, he said, man, I'd love to see. I give him my scope. He's watching this. It's a tall, upright figure behind foliage. You can see the thermal bleed through. No clothing lines on it. About 9 foot tall. Could have been an NBA basketball player out there butt naked without a flashlight. It's not impossible, but is it likely? No. So I'm watching the upright figure. The guy gets my scope. I give it to him. He sees him. We get movement on our flank, a little side creep. Tactically, another one's watching us up closer. And it's been my passion to, if the Cherokee had a symbiote relationship with him, probably spanning thousands of years, it only makes sense if they interacted that they would understand Cherokee, okay? My grandmother was fluent, my aunts and uncles were fluent, I know enough to get in trouble and that's about it, okay? I'm standing there and the guy's watching the big guy. I want to see if they understand Cherokee. So I look, that direction, I say, watch him, tell me if he does anything. And I said, Gata Uste, Dejado, what is your name in Cherokee? I said, did he do anything? He said, no, he's just still looking. So I said, Gutta Uste, Dejado, what is your name? You know, and the second time, where this other noise is coming from, the big deep bullfrog voice, deep voice goes, claw. That is no in Cherokee. I'm getting a cognizant reply from a subject that people think are a dumb animal. No. He doesn't, you know, enunciate a sentence or anything, but it's just a very emphatic no. I don't know if he was telling the other guy or me,
Right.
but it was, you know,
I
it
think he was
was.
telling you to bugger off.
Exactly.
Here, there you go. There you go. There you go, and he films the video. Well, that was filmed on a S-video, old-fashioned, you know, VHS-style camera. Well, his son, and then later on, to tell the story, later on, he got really famous about this sighting, this Bigfoot sighting. He got us on the TV shows and all that stuff, right? Paul Freeman. ABC came and did a whole little news documentary on him. Took him out of the woods. He took him out of the woods, showed him footprints. He found over 700 footprints in the time he was up there. I mean, I've been doing Bigfoot research up there for 5 years, and I've found 3 sets. Okay, so it's a really hot area. Anyway, so during the documentary, the ABC News guy asked him, have you ever faked tracks? And his answer was, yeah, I have. I take some of the casts and we put them in the backyard and we make prints. We practice casting them to see how detailed we can get them.
Yeah, it was twisted.
And guess what was on air?
Yeah.
Yeah, figures.
Hey Scott, you think that Bigfoot was Bob's son?
Nope,
Because Thomas Steenberg said he.
it's not. Okay, I'll tell
Have
you.
you seen that?
Yeah. Okay, so Michael Freeman, Paul Freeman's son, is actually a really good friend of mine. Okay, he and I hung out a lot. We've talked a lot.
Talk about God.
Hannah thinks he's hot.
I just wanted to,
I'm old enough to be his mother, but you know.
But anyway, and he in the last probably 3 years went on this big quest just to clear his dad's name. That's his whole problem. He goes to all these stuff. Well, he wrote a book about it. Now here's another thing that people don't know. There was another guy collecting footprints in that same area named West Sutherland, if anybody knows that name. Famous Bigfoot guy there. He's got hundreds of footprint casts himself from the same area. There was a third person that had never went on camera, never talked to anybody, had over 70 casts in her basement that she never told anybody about. She's in her 80s right now, and she used to go out Bigfooting with Paul Freeman because she had pack goats, and they would follow the gear on her goats and take them into the woods. It's a thing, I guess. Okay.
hey, it works.
Yeah, she had pack goats. And you don't have to even lead them or nothing. You just walk and they follow you. Right? Wow. It's crazy stuff. But anyway, but if you go through the notes that Paul Freeman has about all his sightings, he has a map that he had, literally a Forest Service map that is just all crumpled up, but it's got whiting and X's and, you know, this whole thing. That's actually in Cliff Berkman's museum, that map right now. But
What Cliff doesn't have.
about what Cliff doesn't have is all of Freeman's notes.
Because he's not the one who took that.
Yeah, so all those notes was in Dar Addington's handwriting, this girl, this lady named Dar Addington. Well, I was doing a talk on a train ride. They have these Bigfoot train rides a couple times a year up in the Blue Mountains. They have an old railroad that used to be a logging road, and they take people and they go on the trains, and I talk about Bigfoot and the train cars. This little old lady was in the train car one day, and then after the train ride was over, she comes up and talks to me a little bit, and then she goes away. Then the next year, I'm back there. She says, my name's Dar Addington, right? And I've been listening to you talk on this train for 2 years now, and I really appreciate the way you look at this stuff. I want you to have all my notes.
Wow.
Wow. So I've got all of Dar's notes from the Freeman film, from the Freeman
From
era.
Paul's
From
career.
Paul's career. So I literally have all her notebooks and maps and stuff.
And this summer,
This
she's
summer,
taking
she's
us
gonna-
out
yeah, we're
on a
gonna-
Freeman tour. She's gonna take us to every spot that they ever had.
Before she dies,
together.
yeah.
How many are you taking with you?
Just us and her, that's all she'll let.
Could I add something that Joe asked about the, what, Patterson Gimlin film is he talking about?
What about Thomas Steinberg saying that it was his son?
Look,
That was
That was the Freeman.
oh, the
That's
Freeman,
Freeman.
oh, okay.
So Paul Freeman had two sons. One, Michael, the one I know, was 7 years old when this happened, and his older brother was like 16. But
that awful big 16-year-old.
yeah,
If that was him, that's it.
that would have been an 8-foot 16-year-old. But he's not 8 foot now, so I don't know. He's only like
You know,
5'8".
you know, there's something very distressing to me in the Bigfoot community. And you're gonna find this, I mean, crying out loud, you find this, people are so attached to their identities as, you know, I am the Bigfooter and I know everything, or, you know, if I'm not the one that found it, it's not valid, and I need to take down these people.
Right,
Yes.
that's horrible.
And,
It is.
and it is, and the Bigfoot, I thought, man, I thought Bigfooters are the nicest people. They really, you know, Bigfooters are, but sometimes in the community we get these horrible, vitriolic, it's like going to Washington DC. Anyway, we got our own version of the swamp. Right? And, you know, honestly, I think it's a sad thing that people are so blinded by their own desire for fame or reputation or money or whatever. I mean, it tells me that they're so empty inside that someone else can't provide a piece of the puzzle. And that's what all this is a piece of the puzzle. And
Exactly.
so Michael has this huge piece of the puzzle. Here are all the puzzle pieces about my dad that y'all never saw.
Yeah.
Because media kept it from you, because media never keeps anything.
Because people believe it's
Anyways.
stupid news.
Well,
And so,
here's why I think they cover it up. Is if my theory's right, there are people. What would happen if we proved there's another race of humans on this planet?
It would affect everything.
Do they get voting rights? Do we have to close all the forests because it's their property?
that would screw up every church on the planet.
Yeah.
Yes,
It would screw up the school system.
Well, they're already screwed up.
Exactly.
But so what I wanted to do is show you guys this. Now, what happened was Michael went on this quest to vindicate his dad. Because Michael had been out there with him. He was 7 years old and saw a Bigfoot. You know,
And he saw how this quest for Bigfoot destroyed his dad.
destroyed his dad. After that video came out and they trashed him, they actually had to move from where they lived in Walla Walla, Washington. They had to move because their kids were getting picked on in school. You know,
He got fired from the forest.
he got fired from the Forest Service. He was actually worked for the Forest Service.
And now we wonder why Forest Service people won't say anything.
Yeah. So anyway, so they actually moved to Seattle, Washington area, all the way across the state. But for 15 years, his dad every weekend drove that 300 miles back to the forest, sat in a tree stand with a gun for every weekend for 15 years. He never saw it again. He was going to kill it to prove it.
Oh, man.
And that's why he never saw it.
That's why he probably never saw it again.
Exactly. You're exactly
Being
right.
as intuitive as
But
they probably
after
are.
that, his dad just had, that was
That was his whole
his
bandwidth.
whole,
They knew the moment he set foot in the forest, that was a no-fly zone.
yeah, so,
Because now they're flying there a lot.
yeah, because we're there a lot. So anyway, what happened was, Michael wanted to write this book about his dad. In fact, there's a whole chapter on Dara Anderson in the book. And one picture of her and a goat. But,
She still raises goats.
yeah, oh gosh, wake up.
Get to your point, get to your
Anyway,
point.
so he took the video to Doug Hychek, who did the Monster Quest TV series,
Right.
Producer from there. And Doug actually produced his book. But Doug took the film and since they have technology today they didn't have years ago, they took this film that was that blurry Bigfoot in the background and made it a 4K video now.
Good deal.
And
Are you gonna show it?
I'm going to show it to you right now. There's only
He's
a
gotta
few.
stop talking.
There's only a few people who actually have this, and since Michael's my good buddy, he lets me share it. Okay?
I just bought his book. He lives close to me in Spokane.
Yeah, he lives in Spokane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Michael, let's see if I can find the go button.
They start originally lived close to Bryan College Station. We're full-time RVers now, living in this area.
All right, let's do it. I want to do a group picture of everybody real quick.
Oh, my name's Todd Anderson,
Where are you from?
Mineola, Texas.
Kim Carson, Mineola, Texas.
Go.
I'm Drew. I'm Rick from East Texas. From East Texas. Bigfoot's real. Yeah, yes. Enjoyed it. Great. Fun time.
All right, thanks.
I'm Robin from East Texas.
Hi, Cindy Goodbright, South Squatch Sisters Northwest, East Texas, and the Pacific Northwest.
All right.